Hey guys! Today I want to talk about something that's kind of controversial. So it's this topic of contention. What people think it means versus what it really does mean. So let me break it down for you. First of all, people think that standing up for yourself is contentious. They believe that saying how you really feel and expressing yourself can be contentious. That creating boundaries to keep yourself safe can be contentious. Or putting a stop to being treated poorly by anybody. Or fighting back for what you believe. None of those things are really the definition of contention. The true definition of contention is being combative, looking for a fight, having bad intentions, bad feelings, and then starting something because of those bad feelings. So unless you're doing that, totally get rid of those thoughts and realize that you can have feeling, you can stand up for yourself and not be contentious. Why are we even talking about this today? Why did I even want to discuss this? So often I'm hearing from people who have awful coworkers or addicted spouses or in-laws that may be passive-aggressive or really hard to deal with. And they are constantly telling themselves that these things are super difficult, but that they just need to be more patient or get over it. They don't want to cause contention. They don't want to have a fight or have any struggles. And really, sometimes it's just the personality. Some people just really struggle to have a voice and be confident in holding someone else accountable, and that's okay. But if you don't struggle with that, but you think that you're wrong or bad for accepting your limitations and standing up for yourself or creating boundaries that are going to keep you safe, you need to get rid of those thoughts. The best example that I can give you is from the Bible. When Christ came into the temple and saw all of the money changers and the animals and gambling and things like that, he took out his whip and he immediately laid down the law to protect and uphold the true purposes and uses for the temple. He set a clear boundary of what the temple was intended to be used for. Now, was he contentious? Did he look to cause a fight? Was he trying to be mean? Did he have bad intentions? Absolutely not. But he stood up for what was right, what he knew the temple was supposed to be used for. And he explained to those people the way they needed to hear it so that he could make sure the temple was used properly. So we have to ask ourselves, what in our lives do we know is right, but we are too afraid of contention? We're too afraid to uphold those things. What things are we afraid to say that if we did would help us to have a better relationship, to help our needs to get met, to help us feel safer? When Darren and I were really struggling in our marriage, he was dealing with his addiction, and I was so buried under a fog of depression. It was hard for me to even see reality and recognize, okay, he really is doing this. He really is struggling, and even though I love him, I don't have to accept that. I can set a standard of how I know he should be acting, and so that he can be healthier, so that we can have a better relationship, and so that I can be safe. I would be exhausted from fighting with him and saying and giving him ultimatums and standing up for myself and then having him throw something back in my face and make it my fault, I would think, oh, maybe he really is right. Maybe I did do this and this and this, and that's why he's doing this. And I would start to take responsibility for choices that he made that I had no responsibility in, but it was almost like my psyche needed an excuse to stop pushing back and to stop fighting because it was so hard. When Darren and I went to counseling for years in a really intensive kind of a group setting, and we did individuals, I had learned there the right techniques so that I could stand up for myself and take care of myself. I learned that I did have worth and that my feelings were valid about his behavior and his addiction. And with that confidence and with the support group, I was able to fight back harder and stronger and more confidently. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it literally was because I fought back, because I stood my ground and I set a new expectation of what I knew was right for our relationship, for Darren. And I was recognizing my limitations and what I needed to have safety, that helped and propelled Darren to improve. We stand back idly thinking that we have no control over other people, that we are victims in a situation and that we can't do anything to improve ourselves, our lives, our condition. But that is nonsense. And if you live that way, you will live a very sad and depressing life. And you will become a victim in every single aspect of your life. Stop being a victim. Stop finding ways to not fight back. Stop believing the lie that you tell yourself that if you do stand up for yourself and lay down the law, that you are being bad or mean or contentious or doing something wrong, because you're not. And it is my belief, and I know with all my heart, that thought is actually of the adversary. That believing that you are not worth standing up for yourself, believing that if you have a voice and express what you know is right, that there is something wrong with you. And oftentimes I would yell or scream, but when I would stand up to Darren and say, no, I know what you're saying is not about me. No, I know those choices were your choices, and I'm going to let you have those choices and take responsibility for that. You made your bed, and I'm going to stand by over here and separate myself and have the safety that I need. I'm not going to engage in any of the negative behaviors and the drama. I'm going to have peace where I'm at and totally let go of all of this drama over here. And when I could have that peace and recognize that I wasn't trying to start a brawl, that I was simply speaking my truth and standing up for what was right, I was growing, and I was able to help Darren to grow, because he could no longer live in his own denial. He could no longer blame me. He had to take responsibility for himself. He had to grow himself. Ultimately, after doing this for months and months and months and months and over a year, he was ready to make changes and live up to his potential. He was ready to be the man that God intended for him to be. If you want to hear more about our separation, go to thesoulrestored.com and you can read all about it there. But I know with my entire being that if you know what you're saying is true, if your intentions are that of safety and healing and for standing up for what you know is right and true, you can have the confidence to yell back, fight back, create boundaries, and set limits to create a better life for you, to stop being a victim, and to ultimately help propel other people to make necessary changes in their life. You can't force other people to change, but I promise you, a natural, organic change will happen in those people if you take yourself out of that equation. Thanks, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.